विनोद बिहारी जू की जाए। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जू की जाए। नित्यालल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार अश्वतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। नित्यालल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार अश्वतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्यालल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार अश्वतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Nitya Pravishta Mahabhagavat Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Sorry, let me focus. I'm trying to do multitask. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupada Shatarashata Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupada Shatarashata Shishmar Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada ki jai. Nityal Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Śrīla Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nityal Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nityal Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupano Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhattadasa Raghunath Shar Gosai Prabhu ki jai. Shri Surup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namachay Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kunda ki jai. Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Jai Shri Goparaj Nandan Shri Krishna Chandra ki jai. Shri Arjuna ki jai. Jai Shri Srimad Bhagavad-gītā ki jai. All the commentaries of our acharyas, especially Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Baladev Vijibhushan, Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur, Srila Bhaktivedānta Svāmī Prabhupāda, and my Srila Gurudev ki jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams everybody. Yeah, I'm starting a bit late today because I couldn't, the power went out and the Wi-Fi is not working. And this phone was not working either. And so I was like frantically trying to, maybe, oh, this phone's working now. It's going up and down. Anyhow, whatever. I hope the connection's going to be stable today. All right, let's begin. So we are continuing on with our daily recital of Bhagavad-gītā. We're on day 5 now. And tomorrow on Gita Jayanti Day, we'll be concluding Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. But right now, yes, this is day 5. We're going through chapters 12 through 15. One second, let me just open up. There. All right. All right, let's begin. I'll do the Mangalacharan and then I'll take a look, see who is here now. Okay. So first we'll do the Mangalacharan and then we'll begin. Jnanatimirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye. Oh, that should be short. Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितं भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितं पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारते अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणां वर्षिणीं भगवतीं अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवार्वेशिनीम् नमोऽस्तु ते नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फूलारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र तेन एव येन त्वया भारत तैलपूर्णा प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमय प्रदीप प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दन पार्थो वत्स सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धां गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवां कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय देवी त्वं नायमां चरणान्तिकाम् भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्ष्य क्षिप्ताश्च कामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वं शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम् भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Uh-oh, I'm not going to see everybody who posted, who wrote comments, unfortunately, except for on YouTube, but for some reason it doesn't work on Facebook. Anyhow, I see there are 4 devotees there, but as you can see, I don't see any comments there because I forgot to load this page. But Dandavat Pranams, I'm guessing Indira Mataji is there, maybe Ganga Mataji, and I don't know who else is there. But yeah, Dandavat Pranams. And then here on Zoom, let's see who is there. Shri Devi Didi, Yugal Kishore Kishori Didi, Kana Haladar Prabhu, and Sarveshwari Mataji, Dandavat Pranams. And Zoom user, I'm guessing that's Bhavatarani Mataji and maybe Nri Hari Prabhu. Dandavat Pranams. All right, so let's begin. Okay. So where did we leave off yesterday? We finished, yeah, yesterday was chapter 11. So let's just go through this so that we get the flow. So chapter 7, knowledge of the absolute. Then chapter 8 was attaining the supreme. Actually, should we start from back here? Yeah, okay, let's do that. So in chapter 6, how did chapter 6 end? In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad-gītā, the living entity has been described as non-material spirit soul capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different types of yogas. At the end of chapter 6, it has been clearly stated that the steady concentration of the mind upon Krishna, or Krishna consciousness, that is the highest form of all yoga, called Bhakti Yoga. So the end of the 6th chapter leads into the next, next 6 chapters, which is all on the process of Bhakti Yoga. Then, so now from this chapter, from chapter 7 onwards, Krishna begins to explain the process of Bhakti Yoga elaborately. Earlier, Krishna spoke of attaining liberation by working with detachment, Nishkam Karma Yoga, renunciation and action. Now he'll speak about devotion and action, Bhakti Yoga. Of all the limbs of Bhakti Yoga, Shravanam, or hearing about the Supreme Lord, is foremost. Okay, and then chapter 8. So in chapter 7, Krishna mentions several terms starting with Brahman. And then in chapter 8, Arjuna inquires from Krishna. He inquires about these different. What does Arjuna inquire? He says, what is Brahma? Let's see Arjuna's questions first. Yeah. So Arjuna asks, what is Brahma? And then Krishna says, the indestructible, transcendental living entity separate from the material body. Then Arjuna asks, what is Adhyatma? Then Krishna says, it's the eternal nature, or the impressions that accompany the jiva and govern the body. Then Arjuna asks, what is karma? Then Krishna, his answer is the fruit of activities of the jiva that lead to transmigration from one material body to another. Then Arjuna asks, what is Adibhuta? And then Krishna says, the constantly changing physical worlds are material body consisting of material elements. Arjuna asks all these questions in verses 1 and 2, and Krishna answers them in verses 3 and 4. Then Arjuna asks, what is Adidaiva? And then Krishna says, the gigantic universal form, which includes all the demigods and their planets. And then Arjuna asks, who is the Adiyagya? And then Krishna says, it is I, the enjoyer of all sacrifices, the Supreme Lord represented as the Supersoul. Then, so I guess Adiyagya is the object of, like who's the fire sacrifice aimed towards, like who's sacrifice aimed towards, who's the object of sacrifice. Then how is Adiyagya known in the body? And Krishna says, in the heart of every embodied being, as the regulator, I inspire the performance of sacrifice and other acts. And then Arjuna's 8th question, how can I know you at the point of death? And then the rest of the chapter is answering this 8th question of Arjuna. That's the main subject of the rest of this chapter, is how to remember Krishna at the point of death. And then Krishna says this verse, famous verse, and whoever at the time of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there's no doubt. In the next verse, whatever one remembers when leaving the body, O son of Kunti, he will surely attain a state similar to that object of constant thought. Therefore, at all times, you should think of me and do your prescribed duty of fighting. By offering your mind and intelligence unto me, with your activities dedicated to me, you will attain me without doubt. He who practices to meditate with undeviated mind and consciousness upon me, the Supreme Transcendental Person, attains me by such constant thinking of me. And then Krishna will now tell Arjuna different ways of thinking of him. And then he says, remember me as I am omniscient, beginningless, the eldest, the controller of everything, smaller than the smallest, the maintainer of everything, inconceivable, with a beautiful personal form, luminous like the sun and self-revealing. Yeah. And then remembering Krishna by pure bhakti, without deviation of mind, the devotee who always remembers me exclusively. For him, for that devotee, I am very easy to obtain, O Partha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. After attaining me, they never take birth again in this temporary world which is full of miseries. Such great souls never return to this world, having attained the highest goal of personal service to me. And then spirit material world. So anyways, that's chapter 8. Um, then chapter 9, let's see. In the previous chapter, Lord Krishna mentions that a pure devotee solely fixed on performing Ananya Bhakti unto him, like one exclusive devotion directed towards him, surpasses the paths of light and darkness. In this chapter, in chapter 9, Krishna explains how to become such a pure devotee, or a one-pointed devotee, Ananya Bhakta. And then in chapter 10, so in chapter 9, Krishna concluded with the instruction to fix the mind upon him. Now, in this chapter 10, Krishna describes his opulences on which a devotee can fix his mind and remember him whenever he sees anything opulent, powerful, and beautiful in this world. And so Krishna says, O mighty armed Arjuna, because you are my dear friend, filled with love, for your benefit, I shall give you supreme knowledge, greater than what I spoke earlier. Please listen. Neither the hosts of demigods nor the great sages know my extraordinary origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and sages. He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, and as the supreme proprietor of all the worlds, he only, he is undiluted among men, and he is freed from all sinful reactions in this world. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from illusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, sense control, mind control, happiness, distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy. All these are various qualities of living beings, and they are created by me alone. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. And this is the Chatushloki. Maybe let's go through the Chatushloki. Um, Krishna summarizes the Bhagavad-gītā in these four essential verses called the Chatushloki, describing the bhakti of topmost devotees and the real nature of himself, which generates and nourishes that bhakti. One second, let me shut the door because they're talking outside. Okay, so the Chatushloki of Bhagavad-gītā. I'll zoom in so you can see it clearly. Aham sarvasva prabhavo. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Matta sarvam pravartate. Everything emanates from me and operates due to me. Itti matva bhajante mam. Those who know this engage in my devotional service. Buddha bhava samanvita. Such wise people lovingly worship me with their hearts. And then the symptoms of pure devotees of Krishna. Matchitta matkata prana. With their minds absorbed in me, their lives fully devoted to my service. Bodhayanta parasparam. My pure devotees enlighten one another. Patayanta chamam nityam. They enlighten one another by conversing about me always. Kirtanam. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. And thus experience great satisfaction and bliss. Now Krishna gives intelligence to his devotees. Tesham satata yuktanam. To those who are constantly engaged in bhajatam priti purvakam, engaged in serving me with love and devotion. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. I give them the necessary understanding. Ye namam upayanti te, by which they can come to me. Now the last verse of the Chatushloki. Krishna mercifully destroys ignorance. Tesham evanukampartam. To show them special mercy. Aham agya jamatam. Sorry. Aham agyana jangtama. Nashyam yatma bhavasto. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy the darkness born of ignorance. Jnana deepena bhasvata, with the shining lamp of knowledge. So now Arjuna accepts Lord Krishna's supreme position. You are the supreme personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest and the absolute truth. Like that tease. And now Arjuna, he says, please tell me more of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds. How shall I constantly think of you, know you, and remember you? In what all forms do you manifest? And now Krishna will describe his vibhutis, his opulences. And then Krishna, he goes through, among the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Among the luminaries, I am the sun. Among the Maruts, I am Marichi. Among the stars, I am the moon. Among the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. Among the demigods, I am Indra. Among the senses, I am the mind. And he goes through all these, vibhutis. So anything that we see in this world, any wonderful thing we see, oh, this is Krishna. Among the best things of this world, that is Krishna. Krishna says, among the Pandavas, I'm Arjuna. Okay, now, then Arjuna requests Krishna to show his universal form. O Krishna, my illusion has been dispelled. Please show me your powerful form by which you enter, pervade, and support this universe, if you think I can behold it. Then Krishna describes his universal form. O Arjuna, I give you divine eyes, divya chakshu, to behold my mystic opulence. Then Sanjaya describes Arjuna's vision of the universal form. That is pretty amazing. Let's just see, because that was so cool. So then Krishna displays the universal form. Having spoken thus, Krishna, the supreme Lord of all mystic power, he displayed his supremely powerful, majestic universal form to Arjuna. Arjuna saw in that form unlimited faces, eyes, wonderful visions, holding many weapons, wearing celestial garments, ornaments, and divine scents. The form was wondrous, brilliant, infinite, all-expanding, with faces in all directions. The effulgence of the universal form is greater than the effulgence of thousands of suns rising at once in the sky. Everything in the universe is seen at that one place, as various parts of the body of the universal form, in various ways divided into many details. Arjuna bowed down, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end. With folded hands, he began to pray to the Supreme Lord. Dear Lord, I see in your body all the demigods, all living entities, Brahma sitting on a lotus, Shiva and all the sages of divine serpents. O form of the universe, O Lord of the O Lord of the universe and the origin of the universal form, I see in your unlimited form many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes, expanded everywhere without limit. I see no end, no middle, and no beginning of this form. It is difficult to see this glowing form adorned with crowns, clubs, and discs because of its glaring effulgence, spreading on all sides with immeasurable radiance, like blazing fire or the sun. You are infallible, the supreme primal objective, knowable by liberation seekers. You are the ultimate basis, resting place, and shelter of this universe after destruction. You are inexhaustible. You are the maintainer of the eternal religion. You are the eternal ancient personality of Godhead. That is my opinion. And then Arjuna begs forgiveness. I mean, there's so much more. This is a long chapter. Um, he sees all the sons of Dhritarashtra, their allied kings Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and also our chief warriors. They are rushing into your fearful blazing mouths, just like rivers enter the ocean, like moths enter the fire to meet their destruction. Some of them are being trapped with their heads smashed between your teeth. I see you devouring all these people from all sides with your flaming mouths. Your effulgence is spread all over the universe by your terrible scorching rays burning it up, O Vishnu. Then Arjuna's two questions. I offer my respects to you, O Lord of Lords. Please be gracious to me. You are the primal Lord. Who are you in this ferocious form? What is your mission? Then Krishna says, Time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people, with the exception of you and the Pandavas. With the exception of you and the Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Therefore, get up and fight and win glory. Conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They have all been killed by my plan already. O Sabyasachi, just become an instrument. Okay, and then Arjuna offers his glorification of Krishna, and he apologizes. Please forgive all my offenses, whatever I did in madness or love, considering you my friend. Not knowing your glories, I rashly addressed you. O Krishna, O Yadava, O friend. I dishonored you many times, jesting, laying. We sat and ate together alone in front of others. O infallible one. Please tolerate me just as a father tolerates his son, or a friend tolerates his friend, or a husband tolerates um, the wife's familiarity. O worshipful Lord, I prostrate my body to offer you respects and ask your mercy. Now I wish to see your four-armed form with helmeted head, holding a club, disc, conch, and lotus. Yeah. And then Krishna says, Dear Arjuna, I have shown the supreme, effulgent, unlimited universal form by my internal potency, being pleased with you. No one has ever seen this before you. No one has ever seen this form, because neither by Vedic study, nor by sacrifices, charity, pious acts, penances, can I be seen in this form. I am only seen by bhakti. And then these verses here, verse 54. Only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, O Arjuna. Only in this way is it possible to know me, see me, and enter into mysteries of my understanding, O Arjuna. He who works for me, considering me the supreme, who is devoted to me, without material attachments, without enmity towards any living being, will surely attain me, O Arjuna. Now we begin. This is the chapter 12 on bhakti. And it's the shortest chapter of Bhagavad-gītā. And I think this is like probably the the topmost or one of the topmost chapter, like the most prominent chapters for us. Um, Although, of course, chapter 18 and yeah, I'm not sure if but yeah, this is like one of the most prominent chapters of Bhagavad-gītā. And I remember when I was staying with Premananda Rule, he did a program like to memorize this whole chapter, just chapter 12. He had everybody memorize this chapter. And yeah. Okay. So, Arjuna's inquiry, who is better, the personalist or impersonalist? And then Krishna talks about the personalist versus the impersonalist, and then the supremacy of Krishna bhakti, and then the progressive stages of bhakti, and then the qualities that endear one to Lord Krishna. Those are the topics in this chapter. Okay, so let's begin. Oh, Haribol Vidya Lala Sadidi. Sorry if that was an extra long introduction. I I like to do that. Otherwise, by the end of the program, I don't get the whole flow. I don't like it really helps me when and so because it helps me, I thought maybe it might be helpful for you as well. Just to get an overview of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Chapter 12. Devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. And these are the translations of Śrīla Prabhupāda. Okay. Arjuna Uvacha Evaṁ satata yuktaye bhaktastvamْ paryupasate ye chapyaksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittama. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Veshya Mano Ye Mam Nitya Yukta Yupasate Shraddhaya Parayopetas Te Me Yukta Tamamata. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshiping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. Those who fix their minds on my personal form. Of the two, right? What are the two? Those who are engaged in your devotional service are those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested. And Krishna says, those who worship my personal form and are always engaged in worshiping with me with great and transcendental faith, they are considered by me to be the most perfect. Ye tvaksharam anirdesham avyaktam paryupasate sarvatra gam achintyam cha kutastam achalam dhruvam saniyamendriya gramam sarvatra samabuddhaya te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hite rata. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons, engaged in the welfare of all, at last achieve me. But, we'll see, kleshodhikara, but there's lots of difficulty. Kleshodhikatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukham dehavadbhir avapyate. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome, klesh, very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Avyaktahi gatir dukkam. There's lots of suffering, difficulty in attaining the goal. Yetu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matpara ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate tesham aham samudarta mrityu sangsara sagarat bhavami nachirat parta maya veshita chetasam. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds on me, O son of Pritha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Mayeva mana adhatsva Mayi buddhing niveshaya nivasishyasi mayeva atta urdvang na samshaya. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without a doubt. Atachitang samadhatum na shaknoshi mayi stiram abhyasa yogina tato mami chaptum dhananjaya. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of bhakti yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. Abhyase pyasamartosi matkarma paramo bhava maharartam apikarmani kurvam siddhim avapsyasi. If you cannot practice the regulations of bhakti yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. One second. So these are the progressive stages of bhakti. Abhyasa, Gyan, Dhyan, and Tyag. Interesting. Anyhow. Ataitad apyashaktosi kartumad yogamashrita sarva karma phala tyagam tata kuru yatatmavan. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up results of your work and try to be self-situated. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasaj jnanad dhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karma phala tyagas tyagaj chantiranantaram. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. Hmm, interesting. Okay, now adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankara samadukha sukha kshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma drida nishchaya mayarpita manobudhir yomar bhakta same priya. One who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Yasmano dijate loko, loka no dijate chalya, harsha marsha bayor vegair, mukto ya sachame priya. He by whom no one is put into difficulty, and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. Anapeksha shuchirdaksha udasino gatavyata sarvaramba parityagi yomar bhakta same priya. My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. Yo na hrishyati na dveshti na shochati na kankshati shubha shubha parityagi bhaktimanya same priya. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. Such a devotee is very dear to me. Samashatro cha mitre cha tatamana pamanayo Shitoshna sukadukeshu samasanga vivarjitaha tulya ninda stutirmoni santushta yena kenachit aniketa stira matir bhaktiman me priyo nara. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. Ye tu dharmamritam idam yatoktam paryupasate shraddhana mat parama bhaktaste tiva me priya. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. Okay, so that is the end of chapter 12. Only 20 verses, huh? Now we begin chapter part 3. So that is the end of Bhakti Yoga. Now we begin part 3, which is on Jnana Yoga. These next 6 chapters. Chapters 13 to 18. Okay, so now Arjuna is going to ask 6 questions about Prakriti, Purush, Kshetra, Kshetragya, Jnanam, and Geyam. And then Krishna will describe these. He'll give answers to all of them except for the last one, Geyam, that which is to be known. Okay. 1 second. Let's just, I want to put this up so that I know if my internet cuts out. Just going to put this on the other screen. Oops, sorry. There. All right, now I'll be able to see if anything drops. Okay. So in the middle 6 chapters, Krishna described Bhakti Yoga along with the precise natures of the jiva, the Lord, and matter, and how they are all related. How the jiva, the Lord, and matter are all related. The first 6 chapters showed how karma leads to bhakti, and the last 6 chapters will show how jnana leads to bhakti. In the final 6 chapters, Krishna describes jnana mixed with bhakti, while indirectly showing kevala bhakti, exclusive devotion, to be the supreme. In the 13th chapter, Krishna speaks detailed knowledge of the body, the jiva, the paramatma, and prakriti. So first is Arjuna's 6 questions. Let's see. So this chapter 13, nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness. Arjuna uvacha prakritim purusham chaiva kshetram kshetragyameva cha etad veditum ichchami jnanam gyayam cha keshava. Shri Bhagavan uvacha idam shariram konteya kshetramitya vidhiyate etadyo vetitang prahu kshetragya iti tadvidha. Arjuna said, "O my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field, the Kshetra, and the knower of the field, the Kshetragya, and of knowledge, Gyan, and of the object of knowledge, Gya." And the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, it's the Kshetra. And one who knows this body is called the knower of the field, the Kshetragya. Kshetragyam chapimam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata Kshetra kshetra gyayor jnanam yat taj jnanam matang mamam. O scion of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies. And to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. Okay. Sorry. Takshetram yadrikcha yadvikari yataschayat sachayo yat prabhavascha tat samasena me shrinu. Now, please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field and activities is, and what his influences are. Rishibir Bahuda Gītam Chanodbir Vividai Pratak Brahma Sutra Padaishchaiva Hetumadbir Vinishchitai. That knowledge of the field of activities and the knower of activities is described by various sages in its various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect. With all reasoning as to cause and effect. Mahabhutanyahankaro buddhir avyaktameva cha indriyani dashaikam cha panchachendriya gochara ichadvesha sukham dukham sanghataschetana etakshetram samasena savikaram udahritam. The five great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses and the mind, the five sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms and convictions. All these are considered, in summary, to be the field of activities and its interactions. Amanitam adambhitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavan acharyopasanam shocham staryam atma vinigraha indriyartheshu vairagyam anahankara evacha janma mritu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanudarshanam. Asaktir anabhishvanga putra dara grihadishu nityang cha samachittatvam ishta nishto papatishu mai chanyanya yogena bhaktira vyappicharini vivikta desha sevitvam aratir jana samsadi adhyatma jnana nityatvam tattva jnanartha darshanam etaj jnanam iti proktam ajnanam yad atonyata. What verses are these? 8 to 12. So now this is the process of acquiring knowledge. The 20 elements of knowledge. These are the 20 elements of knowledge. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, and the philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge. And besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. And now Krishna is going to explain. So that was the process of acquiring knowledge, right? That was the fifth question of Arjuna's. And now Krishna is going to answer the sixth question. What is Gayam? What is the object of knowledge? So Krishna will go answer this up to verse 19. Gayam yattat pravakshyami yajgatvam anadimat parang brahma na sattan na saruchate. I shall now explain the knowable. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Sarvata panipadang tat sarvatokshi shiro mukham sarvata shrutimaloke sarvamavritya tishtati. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the supersoul exists, pervading everything. Sarvendriya gunabhasam sarvendriya vivarjitam asaktam sarvabhritchaiva nirgunam gunabhoktricha. The supersoul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all the modes of material nature. Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charamevacha shukshmatvat tad avigyayam durastang chantike chayat. The supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and non-moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktam iva chastitam bhuta bhartri tacha tajgeyam grashishnu prabhavishnu cha. Sorry, I messed that one up. Although the Supreme Lord appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. Jyotisham apita jyotish tamasa paramuchate jnanam geyam gyanagamyam redi sarvasvashtitam. He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge. And he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Iti kshetram tata jnanam gyayam choktam samasata madbhakta etarvigyaya madbhavayo papadyate. Thus, the field of activities, the body, the knowledge, and the knowable have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. Now, the next 7 verses will be about Prakriti, Purusha, and the union. So verse 26. Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidyanadi Ubhavapi vikarangscha gunangschaiva vedi prakriti sambhavan. Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Karya karana kartritve hetu prakritiruchyate purusha sukha dukhanam bhoktritve heturuchyate. Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. So nature is the cause of all material causes and effects, and the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. Purusha prakritisto hi bhunkte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosya sarasaryoni janmasu. The living entity and material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species. Upadrashtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwara paramatmeti chapyukto tehismin purusha para. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the Supersoul. Ya evam veti purusham prakritim cha gunai saha sarvata vartamanopi na sabhuyo bhijayate. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. Dhyaninatmani pashyanti kechiratmanamatmana anya sankhena yogena karma yogena chapare. Some perceive the supersoul within themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires. Anyet Anyetvam ajananta shrutva nebhya upasate te pichati taranteva mrityum shruti parayana. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcends the path of birth and death. This is such an encouraging verse, isn't it? Okay, so now verses 27 to 35 is going to be about the jnana chakshu, the vision of knowledge. Okay. Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam stava rajangamam kshetra kshetragya samyogat tadvidi bharatarshava. O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. It's the kshetra and the kshetragya, that's all you see here. Samang sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam pat vinashyat vinashyatam ya pashyati sapashyati. One who sees the supersoul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the supersoul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, that person actually sees. Samam pashyami hi sarvatra samavastitam ishvaram nahinas nahinastyaatmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. One who sees the supersoul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination. Prakritiaiva chakarmani kriyamanani sarvasha ya pashyati tatatmanam akartaram sapashyati. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, that person actually sees. Yada bhuta pratag bhavam ekastam anupashyati ta eva cha vistaram brahma sampadyate tada. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. Anaditvan yagunatvat paramatmayamavyaya sharirasto pikonteya na karoti na lipyate. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. Yata sarvagatam sokshmyar akasham nopalipyate sarvatra vastito dehe tatatma nopalipyate. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. Yata prakashayatyeka kritsnam lokam imang ravi kshetram kshetri tata kritsnam prakashayati bharata. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminates the entire body of consciousness. That's a neat example. The sun illuminates this universe. In the same way, the consciousness in the body illuminates the body, makes the whole body conscious. Kshetra kshetra gayoreva antaram jnana chakshusha bhuta prakriti mokshang cha ye viduryanti te param. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, that person attains to those people attain to the supreme goal. Now, chapter 14, the three modes of material nature. I need to stand up. Oh, Krishna, 1 second. Let's just see, what are the topics of chapter 14? Material modes, the modes of material nature. So in the previous chapter that we just read, Krishna said in verse 22 that the living entity takes up repeated birth and death due to association with the modes of material nature. Now in this chapter, Krishna explains what those modes of material nature are and how they work, how they bind the living entity, and how they are destroyed by Krishna Bhakti. Okay, there. So the topics in this chapter are the conditioning of the soul by material modes. That's the first 13 verses. Then the effect of conditioning by the modes. Then transcending the modes, becoming gunatit, beyond the modes. Those are the topics of this chapter. So first, the conditioning of the soul by the material modes. Okay. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Parang Bhuya Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yajgyatva Munaya Sarve Parang Siddhim Ito Gata. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again, I shall declare to you the supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. Idam jnanam upashritya mama sandharmyamagata sargepi nopajayante pralayena sorry, pralayena vyatanti cha." By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Mama yonir mahar brahma tasmin garbham dadamyaham sambhava sarvabhutanam tato bhavati bharata. The total material substance, called Brahman, is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharata. Sarva yonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahadyonir ahang bija pradapita. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Sattvam rajastama iti guna prakriti sambhava nibadnanti mahabaho dehe dehi namavyayam. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayan sukha sangena badnati jnana sangena charnaga. O sinless one, the mode of goodness being pure than the mode of goodness being purer than the others is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi trishna sanga samurbhavam tani badnati konteya karma sangena dehinam. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. Tamastva jnana jang vidi mohanang sarvadehinam pramadalasya nidrabhis tannibadnati bharata. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which binds the conditioned soul. Those are the modes of ignorance. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati raja karmani bharata jnanam avritatu tama pramade sanjayatyuta. O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness. Passion conditions one to fruit of action. And ignorance covering one's knowledge binds one to madness. Rajastamaschabhibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata. Rajasattvam tamaschaiva tamasattvam rajastatha. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharata. Sometimes, ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. Sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyar vivridam sattamityuta. The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. Lobha pravittirarambha arambha karmanama shama spriha rajasetani jayante vivride bharatarshava. O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruit of activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. Aprakasho pravrittischa pramado moha evacha tamasyetani jayante vivride kurunandana. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. Now, so that was the conditioning of the soul by the material modes. Now is the effect of conditioning by the modes. So we'll go through the destination of after death in different modes and the result of action in different modes. That's up to verse 18. Yada sattve pravriddetu pralayang yati deha bhrit tadottama vidang lokan amalan pratipatyate. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. Rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangi shujayate tata pralinas tamasi mudayoni shujayate. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Karmana sukritasyahu satvikam nirmalam phalam rajasastu phalang dukkam ajnanam tamasa phalam. The result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness. But action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobha evacha pramada moho tamaso bhavato jnanam evacha. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance, develop foolishness, madness, and illusion. Urdvam gachanti sattvastha madhye tishtanti rajasa jaghanya gunavrittistha adho gachanti tamasa. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets. And those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. Okay, so now up to verse 27, the end of the chapter, It's all going to be on the topic of transcending these modes. Nanyam gunebhya kartaram yada drashtanupashyati gunebhyascha parang veti marbhavam sodhikachati. When one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work than these modes of nature, and he knows the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my he attains my spiritual nature. Gunan etan atityatrin dehi deha samur bhavan janma mrityu jara dukkhair vimukto mrittamashnute. When the embodied living being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. Arjuna Uvacha Kairlingaistrin Gunan Etai Kairlingaistrin Gunan Etan Atito Bhavati Prabho Kim Achara Katang Chaitangs Trin Gunan Ativartate. Arjuna inquired, "O my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior, and how does he transcend the modes of nature?" Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prakashang cha pravritting cha mohameva cha pandava na deshti sampravrittani na nivrittani kankshati udasina vamara sai udasina varasino gunaryo na vichalyate gunavartanta ittevam yovatishthati nengate samadukka sukha swastha samaloštashmakanchana tulya priya priyo dhiras tulya nindatma sangstuti manapamanayos tulyas tulyo mitrari pakshayo sarvaramba parityagi gunatita sa uchate. These are famous verses. Yeah. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal toward the desirable and undesirable. He is equal toward the desirable and undesirable, who is steady, situated equally, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Well, this is a very famous verse. Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya vayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukasya ikantikasya cha. As I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal. I am the basis of that impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal. and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. That's an important verse. Brahman is merely the effulgence of Krishna. Okay, so now this is the last chapter that we are going over today. Let's, okay, so in the previous chapter, what we just went through, chapter 14, Krishna said that he is the basis and supreme shelter of Brahman in the last verse. Krishna also said that by performing bhakti, one can transcend the material modes and attain the status of Brahman. And that the previous verse from that, like verse 26. But to attain devotion and attachment to Krishna, one needs to also develop attachment. One also needs to develop detachment from this material world. In this chapter, Krishna describes the process of breaking attachment to this material world. He compares this world to a banyan tree and detachment to an axe to cut it. He then describes Purushottam Yoga. After knowing the importance of Bhakti Yoga, one may question, what about the Vedas? This chapter explains the purpose of Vedic study is to understand Krishna. Okay, so first topic, from material world to spiritual world by detachment and surrender. Chapter 15, the Yoga of the Supreme Person, Purushottama Yoga. Text 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Mulam Adashakam Ashvatam Prahura Vyayam Chandangsi Yasya Parnani Yastang Veda Savedavit. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Adash Chordvam, Adash Chordvam Prasritastasya Shaka Guna Pravreda Vishaya Pravala Adash Chamulanyanu Karmanubandhini Manushaloke. The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruit of actions of human society. Haribol, everybody. Sorry about that. Okay, let me I'm now using a different mobile connection. Hopefully this one is just as good or better. I'll be checking. I don't know. Did I start verse 5 before? I can't remember. I mean, I don't know when the connection dropped. Okay, I'm just gonna reread this translation of verses 3 and 4 because I don't know when the internet stopped. So the real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with a weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that supreme personality of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama Tvandvar vimukta sukha dukkha samgyar kachantamura padama vyayang tat. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understands the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. Let me just, okay, so now, oh no, never mind. Natarbhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavaka yargatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Yadgatva na nivartante. Having gone there, one never returns. Tadhama paramam mama. That supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. Late last night, I was working with Srivas on a verse from Brahma Samhita, and it mentioned this point. We're not putting this translation in the songbook, but where is Srivas's message? Gotta get so many messages. Wait, where is it? Okay, so this is how Jiva Goswami translated this, explains this verse from Brahma Samhita, Shreya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpataravo. He says, where all illuminated phenomena are themselves luminous forms of divine consciousness and bliss, like the sun and moon. So everything is, all illuminated things are themselves luminous forms. Everything is luminous in Goloka Vrindavan, like the sun and the moon. Every object is itself a luminous. Okay, sorry. Mamai Vangsho, this is a famous verse, very important verse. Mamai Vangsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manasa Shashtan, sorry, Manashashtanindriyani Manashashtanindriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are they are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. They are all my eternal fragmented parts. Shariram yad avapnoti. Wait. So these verses from 7 to 11 are the transmigration of the living entities. Who can and can't see? Interesting. Okay, let's see. Shariram yad avapnoti yachapyutkramatishvara grihitvaitani samyati vayur gandhan ivashayat. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. Shrotram chakshus parshanam cha rasanam grahnameva cha adhishtaya manaschayam Vishayan upasevate. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. Utkramantam stitang vapi punjanam vagunanvitam vimurdananupashyanti pashyanti jnana chakshusha. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. Yatanto yoginaschainam pashyantyatmanyavastitam yatanto pyakritatmano nainam pashyantachetasa. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. Yad aditya gatang tejo jagarbhasayate kilang yach chandramasi yach chagno tattejo vidimamakam. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me. And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. So now these verses now are appreciating Krishna's position as our maintainer in this world. Yeah. Gam avishya cha bhutani dharayam yaham ojasa pushnami choshadi sarva somo bhutva rasatmaka. I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. So the moon's called Sudakar, right? Gives nectar. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninang Dehamashrita Pranapana Samayukta Pachampyanam Chaturvidam. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuffs. What are the four kinds of foodstuffs? That's which is chewed, which is drunk, which is sucked, and which is licked. Okay. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannavishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedaishcha sarvair ahameva vedyo vedanta kridveda videva chaham. This is also a very famous verse. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So now the verses 16 to 18 are the summary of the Vedas and Vedanta. There are two kinds of living entities, Kshara and Akshara. The super soul is beyond Kshara and Akshara, and Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul. Okay, so up to 18. Dvavimo purusho loke ksharas chakshara evacha kshara sarvani bhutani kutasto kshara uchate. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. Uttama purushastvanya paramatmete Paramatmetyudahrita Yolokatrayam avishya Bibhartavyaya Ishvara. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. Yasmaksharam atitoham aksharad apichottama atosmi loke vedecha pratita purushottama. Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person. I'm celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person. Now, verse 19 to 20. Knowing Krishna means knowing everything. These are the last two verses of the chapter. And then we're finished with our recitation for today. Yo mam eva asamuro janati purushottamam sa sarva vid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. Whoever knows me as a supreme personality of Godhead, without doubting, is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Iti guyatamam shastram idang utang maya naga etar budva buddhi man syat kritta krityascha bharata. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. His endeavors will know perfection. Jai, Jai, Goparaj Nandan Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chandra ki Jai, Śrī Arjuna ki Jai. Jai, Śrīmad Bhagavad-gītā ki Jai. Okay, so, wait. Yeah, we're doing, okay, so tomorrow we'll go through verses 16, the divine and demoniac natures, 17, the divisions of faith, and then finally, the conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. That's what we'll read tomorrow on Gita Jayanti Day, the day Śrī Kṛṣṇa actually spoke Bhagavad-gītā to Arjuna. All right. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju ki Jai, Jai Shila Gurudev ki Jai, Shila Param Gurudev ki Jai, Shila Prabhupada ki Jai, Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai, Swapasha Ji Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopikan ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Devi ki Jai, Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki Jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav. Jai Śrīmad Bhagavad-gītā ki Jai. Jai Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chandra ki Jai. Śrī Arjuna ki Jai. Jai the Mahabharat ki Jai. Krishna Dvaipayan Ved Vyasdev ki Jai. The commentaries of our acharyas, especially Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Śrīla Baladev Vijibhushan, Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Thakur, our Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Svāmī Prabhupāda, and my Śrīla Gurudev ki Jai. And also there's other, like Śrīla Bhakti, Śrīla Goswami, so many commentaries. So all the commentaries of our acharyas ki Jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsidevai, Priyai Keshavashacha, Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi, Satyavatai Namo Namaha, Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams. Oh, I see Rukmini Didi is there. Haribol. And Ganga Mataji, Vidyalalasa Didi. And I see a bunch of other people on YouTube and Facebook, but I only see those who wrote comments. And then Prajumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Sri Devi Didi, Yugal Kishore Kishori Didi, Nri Hari Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams Prabhu, and Pavatarini Mataji, Dandavat Pranams Mataji, Sarveshwari Mataji, and let's see, who else? Oh, Kana Haladar. Dandavat Pranams, everybody. All right, so tomorrow is our last reading. It's a short reading tomorrow. Today we read, I think, 5,500 words. Tomorrow is 4,000 something words. So yeah, extra short. Um, yeah. All right. So thank you so much for joining, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. This is going to be really helpful, I think, going through all these translations of the Bhagavad Gita and looking at the summaries and like that. It will be helpful for the program that we're going to do next, which is going through Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Thakur's Dashmula Shiksha. Because a lot of these verses that we went through today will be quoted in the Dashmula Shiksha when we go over that. So yeah. All right. Dandavat Pranams. See you all tomorrow. Hari Bol.